and welcome to DE Dealmakers, a podcast by Darrow Everett, a full-service business law firm with offices in 7 states. I am your host, Emmanuelle Subar Litvinov, a South Florida-based attorney in DE's Corporate Transaction Department. With us today are Adam and Jacob Bishop, two brothers who went from revolutionizing the retail game by sourcing and offering some of the most desirable, can't get your hands on sneakers to laying the groundwork for success in the world of vacation rentals. Welcome, Adam and Jacob. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Of course. So let's get started. And can you share the story of how you initially got involved with Mr. Allen's and what inspired the creations of Souls Inc.? Take us through your journey.
Yeah, definitely. So Adam and I started in 2007. We started Souls Inc. And we started on Miami Beach. We started in a less than 1,000 square foot hole in the wall store on a side street. And Miami Beach wasn't half of what it was then when it is today. We didn't realize that we were starting our first business going into the Great Recession, which made things pretty interesting starting a new business.
So take us through that journey, and then how did that transpire? Talk to us about the evolution of your brands.
So basically, we just loved like creating an experience for the customer and creating an experience in our store and kind of like thinking outside of the box of how to create more of an experience-based chain of retail stores as opposed to like a product base. So we ended up going through a growth period where we would meet like different celebrities just because of the location of our stores and we would team up with them to throw like different events and as well as our customers.
And we definitely learned like trial and error, right? Like we had a limited amount of experience when we started. I was actually still in college at the time. Adam was right out of school, and we just learned through bumps and bruises and figuring out the back end and figuring out the front end of the house.
It's great. I heard somewhere that you can't teach somebody how to run a business. You have to do it yourself. Sounds like you guys went through that learning
Yeah,
experience.
I think it comes down to like your passion for business or your passion for like what you're doing because like it really takes the ability of like eating it, drinking, thinking, sleeping like all day, all night, like caring about your business and caring for your business.
That makes sense. So, you when we spoke, we had talked about some of the different challenges with each one of your brands. You have had 3 different brands. Can you walk us through each one of those and the branding challenges you had and why you had each one of those?
Yeah, definitely. We had 3 brands. We had Mr. Allen, Souls Inc., and Pogo. Souls Inc. and Pogo were kind of the boutique, high-end, high-energy part of the portfolio. We used it as a halo effect for the rest of our brands. For those two, for Souls Inc., it was hard to find, hard to get product, very exclusive. We had campouts outside the store on a weekly basis. And Pogo was the same thing, but it was very innovative at the time where it was a woman's first boutique, which really at that time hasn't been done and has not been mastered even today from a sportswear lens at least. That was probably the most challenging of the 3. And then Mr. Allen's was our volume. We could open a lot of locations with it. We had larger footprints, 5,000 square foot footprints compared to 3,000 square foot stores.
So, you had mentioned you acquired Pogo. So walk us through the acquisition and then why women's, especially for 2 guys, what made you think you'd succeed? And you did succeed. So talk to us about some of those challenges.
So basically, when we purchased Pogo, it was a skate shop actually. So like the whole like skate culture and trend and fashion and all that stuff was intersecting and becoming like very popular. So we were just like passing by this local skate shop that Jacob and myself fell in love with. And we ended up like frequenting it, and then we became like friendly with the owners, and we started like talking to them about a transition process because they were interested in doing something different because they started that business when they were in high school, I believe, and now that same owner ended up like working on Wall Street, so he didn't really have the time to pour into the business. So we ended up just kind of like working out the nuts and bolts of the deal, like kind of verbally, and made it easier transition to put that to paper.
And also, like, the skate shop was really important for us because one of the most intense parts about our business is getting the brands, like officially being an authorized dealer with these brands. And at the time, skateboard, like Adam mentioned, was super popular. And some of the most popular and successful brands at the time were skate brands. And they would only sell your stores if you were an authentic skate shop. So for us to have an authentic skate shop and have access to some of these brands that we had no access to was super important to us.
That's really great that you were able to build those relationships. So, backtracking for a second to starting Sold, Miami Beach, 2007. Your first location was inadvertently next to Pharrell Williams' store. How did this location influence your business strategy and customer base? You kind of talked about events that you had, but if you could talk a little bit more about that, and then also what were some initial challenges, and how did you achieve such impressive revenue numbers?
So our first location, like we said, was like a bad location, side street, small, hard to find. And we realized after being open for a week, it was actually right next door to, like you said, the studio that was hidden in deep in the back of a hotel. So he came in the first week, and we were known for him coming in and having a lot of different celebrities coming in. We started posting the pictures on the wall, and the reputation just started kind of exploding from there. It probably would have taken a lot longer without some of that stumble luck that we had being next door to him. Another cool fact about about him coming in and other celebrities coming in is not only did it give us authenticity, but it allowed us to see where the trends were going. What were these like super famous people with unlimited money? Like, what are they wearing, and what are they like? Where are the trends going from it? So when we were going on these buys, we kind of had a peek into what was going to be next and what was going to be the next most popular thing.
Kind of like a cool insight to our first day of business there. While we were like building out the store, we put like brown craft paper on the windows so nobody could see in. And then what we did, like as we were building it out and started putting like product on display, we put a slit in the paper, just like a small one. So like if you wanted to know, you could see, you could peek in, and that kind of drew like attention. And on the first day we opened, we had a group of celebrities. I think on that first day we even had Chris Brown came in, and just like a
Wow.
lot of hype and a lot of talk because of that brown paper.
That's great. That's a good strategy right there. We're, so we'll fast forward a little bit. So in 2012, you merged with Mr. Allen's, and then in 2019, you decided to sell all three entities, not even knowing COVID was coming. So great timing for you guys. But what prompted the decisions to sell all three entities, and how did they shape the future of your business ventures moving forward?
So when we merged with Mr. Allen's, our plan at the time was rapid growth through the Midwest, the Southeast were kind of the most important territories for us. We had no ambition or no thoughts on selling at the time. Over those handful of years, we had great growth through those two regions specifically. And we after we got to a certain size and to a certain point, and we had more like national eyes on us, we started getting random letters from bankers, from private equity groups, from strategics, kind of like hunting us down for a conversation and seeing if there was any interest. And we had no interest in selling at the time. And after months and months of like being solicited, unasked for, not asked for, we're like, let's kind of explore what this would be like, just tossing the idea around until it became more serious.
That makes sense. So you mentioned you had brought on an investment banker to assist with the sale. Can you speak a little bit about that, into the process and how it influenced the outcome?
Yeah, so we were talking to some of like these PE firms or these other larger companies than us, and then we quickly realized we were kind of out of our element. We were specialists in merchandising, marketing, operations, like technicalities of running a retail chain, but like the M&A world definitely caught us off guard. So we decided we needed a little bit of help, and we started to interview, starting with investment bankers. And yeah, we found this firm that would be able to kind of like help us organize our transaction, I guess you would say.
And like the reason we jumped from like unsolicited letters to okay, we're going to reach out to a banker is we looked back at like a 5 or 10 year period, saw where multiples were in our industry, and we're like, okay, they're at a height. It was 2018, 2019, and we said, okay, this is a good time to have a conversation.
That makes sense. One of my strongest relationships are with investment bankers. It's a very creative relationships with M&A attorneys and investment bankers. So either one is always a good place to start. Either that or, a financial advisor, CPA, etc.
I could say the investment bankers in general, specifically the ones we use, are worth every penny. They were
Yeah, that's
available and had
great.
an army of people from first thing in the morning till 12 a.m., 2 a.m. Super sophisticated and a lot of experience, especially
That's
in
wonderful.
our field. Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear you had a positive experience.
They've seen us through highs, very happy. They've seen us at our lowest time. They're therapists and bankers all in one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's usually how it goes during an acquisition.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
So let's talk about the strategic buyer you were approached by. What was it like working with the strategic buyer? And to the extent you can discuss, how did the acquisition unfold?
So so the transaction with the buyer, for us, it was great. We really appreciated having a strategic buyer because they understood our business and they understood what we did and how we grew our business and all of our like marketing that we put into the business and all of our merchandising and all of our specialties that we brought into the business. They really understood that. So that was cool. I mean, on the other side, the transaction took longer than we expected, being our first time into M&A deal. A lot of our colleagues would warn us like, hey, the deal might take longer, and we're like, no, 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 we didn't think it would, but it did. And that's where having our professionals like the investment bankers and our legal team help to like calm us down that this is kind of just part of the process.
Yeah, yeah, that is. Unfortunately, that is. Yeah. Okay. So you sold the three entities, and then you guys have shifted into real estate. So you have this major focus on commercial real estate, triple net properties that we haven't touched upon yet. How did you guys end up in real estate?
So as we were growing the retail business, and even before us, we would acquire properties. We would anchor our retail store in it, strip centers, and we'd rent the rest out. So we've dealt with our own properties in the past. We've dealt with hundreds of lease negotiations and a lot of executed leases. So real estate was something that we were pretty familiar with at the time. And after the transaction, we knew it was real estate that we wanted to pivot into.
Makes sense. So, and recently, in the last few years or so, you've shifted from commercial real estate to vacation rentals. Talk to me about that shift and how you navigated different challenges, especially the red tape in something like the South Florida market.
Yeah, so partially this shift kind of came to mind during the pandemic as like the environment was changing and there seemed to be more demand to short-term rentals. And being in South Florida, there's a lot of tourism, and that kind of like caught our attention, and it let us start thinking like that maybe we could put some of our experiences in customer experience and creating like a vibe or an environment that's enjoyable or like above and beyond like something that people could really connect with, and it gave us that opportunity to really put our passions to work.
Actually, the red tape from the vacation rental market was at first something that almost turned us away from wanting to do vacation rentals in Miami. It was such a difficult process to navigate. And now, after learning the process and navigating it, it's actually the reason we want to be in vacation rentals, because it keeps vacation rental supply low, because it's so hard to figure out and it's so expensive to get into it that it creates such a less amount of legal competition. There's a lot of illegal vacation rentals in Miami, and they get shut down every week. If you go on the MLS or you go on Zillow or you go on any platform, you can see houses that are so obvious used to be vacation rentals by the way they were decorated and designed. And that's because they're trying to get away with doing it illegally. The city catches you, they shut you down, they put you out of business.
Yeah, like if you see a picture on Zillow of a house and there's like a flamingo towel on the bed, like probably at some point
The
that.
dishes are on the kitchen table. I mean, it's just so obvious, you could tell.
Yeah, yeah. When we were just searching for a place recently, most of the places you could tell they were former Airbnbs because of all the furniture still in it. And
Yep.
you can tell there's been a crackdown in the area. Yeah,
Which is great for us because we spent the last 2 or 3 years figuring it out,
yeah,
and now we get to have a little bit less competition,
yeah,
especially in Miami, which is such a high demand area for tourism, for vacation rental, for everything that has to do with
yeah.
tourism.
I commend you guys for sticking with it and figuring out your wash, rinse, repeat system. That's
There,
great.
there definitely were days where we had to question it. That's for sure.
I believe that. I believe that, especially in this real estate market down here. So, given the current environment, and you mentioned your research process a little bit, can you speak to how you identify opportunities in this market, considering the, low supply, high demand? And without divulging your competitive edge, what are some unique processes or strategies that give you this leg up, aside from, you figured out all the red tape?
So in terms of like the short-term rentals, we are focused like almost hyper locally because there's so much different like regulation in different markets, and we'd like to expand or scale in the markets that we feel confident in. And what we noticed through the time, and I think it goes in waves and shifts, but the supply seems low, like Jacob said, and there's still demand because it's South Florida, and we feel like we're investing in a real asset for the long term, and to have the additional ability to be able to do a short term rental is exciting for us. And the reason that it excites us is because we feel like in our previous life we were hospitality managers. We felt like our retail business was basically like creating this environment, this hospitality environment for people to come and enjoy themselves. And we also spent a lot of energy operationally in our last business. So we feel like those are some of our strengths that we might have, because we can manage like the nuts and bolts of the business operationally, and also complement it with whether it's a theme in the house, or you have a something else exciting in the house, and you could create an environment where the customers are happy while also creating like a clean environment, because sometimes you might see like some of these properties just might not be clean or up to your operational standards.
And the secret sauce is be obsessed with the customer experience. It sounds so simple. It was our secret sauce for retail. It's our secret sauce for this, and it sounds simple, but most people don't think of that. Also,
Yeah.
the other aspect that drew us to vacation rentals is real estate. It trades off of net income. It trades off of a cap rate. What vacation rentals do, when you could change a single family house to a vacation rental, a long term to a short term, is you double the net income, which means you double the cap rate, which means you double the value of the property.
And that's the way to focus on something. Yeah, taking a look at those numbers.
Yeah.
It's a great way to do it. So, you had mentioned that real estate is your favorite asset class previously. So, how do you approach diversification? I mean, you mentioned why the numbers look good, but, how do you approach diversification with this sector?
So we personally are diversified with triple net and commercial. as well as multifamily, and now we're looking to convert and add the short-term rentals, into our portfolio. So we feel pretty comfortable in like the different aspects of the real estate sector, and we're going to continue to grow like all of our different portfolios. And we do understand like things are cyclical, and real estate values might go up or down short term, but we're really more of the long term holders, because we believe that real estate is a finite resource, and there's not many businesses that you can have where you're really operating or managing like a finite resource, that over time it's the same amount of real estate, so it becomes in demand because of the way that it's a finite resource.
So cash flow may go up or down, but the long-term hold is the win for us.
Yeah, especially down here, especially in
Also,
this.
we would hope it would never get to this, but the beauty about vacation rentals is the backstop to that is you could, like, if everything hits the fan and the economy goes to zero or it just gets hit so hard, the backstop to that is using it as a long-term rental again to weather the tough period. And there's always going to be a need for long-term rentals.
I agree. I agree. And South Florida isn't going anywhere.
Definitely.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to like that saying, like everyone needs a roof over their head. So you do have like a valuable commodity. And like in regards to South Florida, it's just amazing to see like the long-term growth over the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, things have completely changed down here. And
Yeah.
there's a reason that a lot of people are moving down to South Florida, including like these billionaire hedge funds, to just like tech businesses, to all kinds of different just residents moving down. So
It's
The
true.
biggest headwind to Miami real estate, and this is not vacation rental exclusive, is how high insurance prices are. I hope that Florida and I hope that Miami is working very hard behind the scenes to get that fixed.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a big topic of conversation for a lot of people in real estate, for everybody who's in real estate, especially over the last year. The,
Yeah.
the insurance prices have just gone out the roof.
Yeah.
So I hope so too. I
Yeah.
hope they're working behind the scenes on that. Yeah. So, okay, a couple more questions as we wrap up. Kind of what are your long-term investment strategies?
Our long-term investment strategies is two-pronged. It's to collect as much real estate as we can in the vacation rental space. We're hyper focused on that. And as we're doing that, build out a hospitality management business as well. So the vacation rental business is such a beauty because you really have two businesses in one. In the future, if we want to hold on to our real estate and we want to sell the vacation rental management part of the business, we can always do that and never have to sell the real estate at all.
That's a great thought process. That's a great strategy. So, what are your plans to make that happen so far? Have you created that company, or do you have the processes in place?
so I guess our plan would be to develop these short-term rentals to increase the cash flow, and um, to increase the value of the businesses, and then we'd be able to scale. We believe if that process works, and just to keep accumulating for the long term, and hopefully short term will make nice cash flow, and then long term will continue to grow, because we believe if we have a footprint that either brings the cap rates down and the value of the buildings up, then we believe that it will be pretty easy to scale it, because if you look at the finances, you might be able to find, whether you're looking for investors, whether we're using our own cash, or whether you're going to the bank. Everybody will like a property that is more valuable than its next door neighbor.
Everybody always asks us everywhere we go, when should I buy real estate? When is the best time to buy real estate? We've been playing with real estate for a long time. The best time to buy real estate is right now. Properties are sitting. There's less negotiating for that. There's less people trying to negotiate you for these properties, and you could get a really good deal. Refinance it when the rates come down, and you're going to be sitting in a really nice spot when the economy comes back.
I agree. I think those are great long-term strategies and for right advice for people for right now. So, last question as we wrap up. Do you guys kind of have a mission statement that drives your work? Could be applicable to our audience. Or, generally speaking, what advice do you have for real estate entrepreneurs or retail in building their businesses?
So yeah, I would start with I guess I don't know if it's technically a mission statement, but one of my philosophies, and I believe Jacob as well, with our previous business. Like for example, we weren't curing any medical illness, or we're not like special surgeons or something. But something that like would fuel me is that we can create an environment to make people happy. So everybody like has problems or stresses in their life, or whether it's family, whether it's health, or whether it's money or whatever it is. But the fact that you could come in and enjoy an experience and put a smile on somebody's face, even if it's for just a minute and makes another person happy, like that's what kind of fuels me to keep driving. And I think that's going to translate well into the hospitality industry as well.
Also, I would say have some patience. You look on social media, it's like become a millionaire overnight or have this great successful real estate business overnight. For retail, for real estate, have some patience, and time makes everyone look like a genius.
And I have to say, if I was just starting and I wanted to get into real estate investing, and I whether I had like a lot of cash or not a lot of cash, um, I would probably start by house hacking. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that term, but basically it means go buy like a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, live in one of the units, and
Yeah.
get they have different sorts of like financing. I would defer to like some sort of like mortgage specialist, but I believe there's like different kind of financing where you can put like little to no cash down, maybe 5% or less, or 2.5%, and you could buy this investment property. And the way that you would finance it is based off of your rental income in the other three units. So it's a good way to get started with little resources, and also you provide a roof over your own head, and then you provide an investment for yourself, and then in a couple years or a year or two, you could just rinse and repeat and do it again. And next thing you buy one fourplex. In 2 years you could have two fourplexes, 8 units. Like, pretty cool way to start.
Yeah, I actually know a couple of people who are doing that in the past year. They bought up some multifamilies and live in them, and yeah, getting their process up
I
started.
feel like this is one of the most underrated ways to start, because
Yeah,
like Jacob said, like social media is like, oh, there's so many YouTubers and all these people that get rich quick, make a ton of money. I became a millionaire in real estate overnight. It's real estate is a little bit of a slower game, but it really could pay like dividends towards the back end if you stay
yeah,
disciplined.
yeah, I agree. Well, I really appreciate you guys being with us. For our audience, next time you're in South Florida, keep an eye out for the Bishop's Airbnb for the ultimate customer experience in your stay down here. And yeah, thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was
Thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
us.